Hello, everyone. This is Lady Miskey. So I'm here waiting for someone. Oh, I forgot the name is already listed at the bottom. Interview with Pierre Coleman. Let me go on and add him in.
I said I see my name up there, so should I just go ahead and
Yeah. So we're
delete
already
it and come back in?
we're already live. I started talking because I was just talking about my lighting.
Mm.
I just tried to add some more to my eyebrows so it look like I have eyebrows. I don't know what's going on with the lighting today. It is what time is it here? ET Eastern Standard Time is 11:38. So the bright lights in the back is just outside daytime lights. So we are here with Mr. Pierre Coleman. How are you today, Mr. Pierre?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
Good. Thank you for being here. So let me just introduce you. I'm going to read the article, not the introduction here on the article from, is it Deadline? Is that where it came from? I believe so.
Yeah,
So it says Pierre M. Coleman is a native of Newark, New Jersey. He received a degree in film production from Howard University's School of Communication. He has worked in production for over 15 years with renowned companies including HBO, 20th Century Fox, BET, and DreamWorks. Who knew? I didn't even know all of this, Mr. Pierre. Pierre recently produced the short film Ricky, 2023 Sundance Film Festival. If I had my applause, my clap button, maybe I might find it and add it here. Congratulations. So, if you didn't know who we are here speaking
Thank
with, you just heard it all. And we're sitting with the man himself, the man, the myth, the legend.
you.
I've always wanted to say that, Mr. Pierre Coleman. So let's say how do we know each other? Let me hear you to say how do we know each other? Let's start with that.
How do we know each other? Well, anybody who works in this industry knows that, you know, sometimes you got to have a day job to pay your bills. And so my day job just so happened to be working in the public school system. And so I've, you know, heard about this wonderful person who was great in doing the things that I was new to doing. And I kept hearing your name, and we were on an orientation together. And when I seen you popped up, I hopped into your WebEx DM like, hey, um, I heard that you are the goat in these streets. So, can I talk to you sometime? And who would and who would have known, me jumping into your DMs that, a year later we'll be here where we are now. So, I mean, which you are, not even just knowledgeable in what we do in our day job, but just in general. So you just turned out to be a great person. So here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. Very true. Why, thank you. And not just that, but we have so many things in common. And whatever you see on this camera, don't let it fool you. Okay. Don't let it fool you. You cannot have it's never a dull moment. You will not have a dull day at work. He will have you cracking up. You just, whatever you're going through, you better get over it. Because by the time you're done with him, after you all collaborate and do whatever you need to do, by the time, and you're going to do the work. And that's the good thing about Pierre, that he is professional in everything that he does. And everything that he does, and he's going to do the work, but you better believe you're going to have a good time while doing it. That's one thing I love about Mr. Pierre. And you know what, it hasn't been a full year yet, just to say, well, it's probably like 11 months and 10 days.
Oh,
But
well,
almost a
it,
year.
it, it, it feels like it's been longer than that.
It feels like it's been longer. I mean, no one can never think that I've only known you for a little under a year. No one would
I
ever.
know, especially the
um
way we interact with each other.
You just very funny, humorous. Where did this come from? Where he is like, what do they say? Like
I don't know what she's
reading?
talking about.
Oh no, you don't know.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so let's keep it
We
with
just
it.
we just have a good time when we together.
That's true.
It's funny. I just come from a family where we just grew up joking on each other nonstop. From all the way up from my grandfather. He was the ultimate. Just you better like not take anything to the heart because he will get on you and joke on you. And so in my family, if you can handle a joke, don't even come into the room until you know how to like throw a joke back. So I think I don't know, it just started just with family, just us having a good time, always joking on each other. And my parents, they got mouths on them, and I guess it just got handed down to me. So but I mean, most of the time it's all in good fun unless it is not fun anymore. So but yeah, I think that's where it came from.
Yeah, definitely from a must be a funny family background or something because I definitely can sense that when I'm around. So, Mr. Star Studded. It's like, no, I'm just joking. Mr. Sundance. So that's one of the big topics today is that you are. Do I say you're a part of Sundance?
I'm currently newly a Sundance producing fellow. So yeah, I am a part of the Sundance family.
Perfect, perfect. Part of this. What? Wow. Who? How many people can say? How many people can say I'm part of the Sundance family? That is huge. That is huge to me. So, especially for someone who's into communications and entertainment and interested in certain things like that, and you hear about Sundance, so it's a huge deal. And you just said the word producer. So tell me more about your producer role in this spectrum here with Sundance.
One, I first I'm just like very thankful and very fortunate to kind of be a part of this community because thousands of people apply and only few get in. So to kind of be recognized in that way after just years and years and years and years of kind of going at this and trying to figure it out and trying to pave a way for yourself, it's great to kind of be in this space. The great thing about this program is they kind of focus on, because being a producer in the media industry can mean a bunch of many things, but one of the things that they focus on in this fellowship for us is kind of being like a holistic producer, meaning, we are involved in the creative process of our projects, from the story, script, making sure that the script is in the best shape possible before even moving forward to talking about anything else, right? And, even matched with that is also the skills it take to bring the film to life, because there's a lot of business behind making it happen. So a lot of times people go to the movies and they don't realize there's a lot that goes into making that film or that TV show come to life. So just kind of having the tools to make what you read on paper translate to screen, and seeing it all the way through until it's done. And even when it's done, still having to deal with it years after it's done. So it's kind of, I mean, it's your baby, just like it's the director's vision. You're the person that's helping them build the ship and guiding it to get to the destination that you're trying to go to.
Okay. The credits on a movie. I mean, it can go
Hmm.
on for 5, 10 minutes. It seems like if you really sit there at the end of the movie, the
It
list
takes a lot of people. Yeah, yeah.
the list of names go on, and we might just know the first 10 people, and they were the actors, and actresses in the movie. And then after
Hmm.
that, you really don't know, like, what are these other people doing? So I do see that. You said it was they wanted you to be a part of it as a holistic. You said interview
Holistic producer.
for
So,
holistic
ki-
producers.
yeah. So like a kind of a, lack of a better, well-rounded producer that kind of deals with multiple aspects of getting the film made. Because you got some producers that kind of concentrate on specific things, and you got some that kind of touch all the aspects of the process.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, you got some producers who mainly focus on fundraising and getting the money that you need for your project. You got some producers that focus a lot more on the creative part, like making, bringing in try to bring in certain cast that you need, making sure that the script is good. Then you have more holistic producers that kind of do a combination of both. So they kind of
Mhm.
oversee the creative part of it, but then they're responsible for the actual bringing everything together. So from bringing on the right crew, having cast, doing a lot of the legal paperwork that entails to get everything done, making sure all of the contracts are in place, and making sure you have everything you need every step of the way to make the film happen. So, overseeing the day to day operations when it's time to film, overseeing the day to day during the preparation portion of the film, and overseeing the operation of when it's done. You have to do the editing and stuff like that. So, most producers are those, who are hands on in every step of the way and overseeing the process from beginning to end, to make sure that the film is what they call in the can, which is done.
And they
And
can. Okay.
hmm hmm
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, is this where your excitement comes in for producing? Because when you think about the industry and all the different
hmm
jobs that you can have in here, especially when it comes to filmmaking, a lot of people love to be in front of the camera, director, musicians, things like that.
hmm
So, what made you have the
going to produce.
passion for producing? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It kind of happened by default. When you're an independent filmmaker, you got to wear a bunch of different hats. You got to be the director, you got to be the producer. Most of the time, you're the writer. You got your family providing the food. You got your friends helping you with camera stuff. Um, so for me, I kind of got into it by default because all of the stuff that I was directing, I also had to produce. And so, and I also come from a production background, working on different feature films and TV shows, of kind of being in the production department where, your production department is the department that take care of every other department on the film. And so I kind of got into this thing where I was like this organized creative person. And so after having people work with me, they was just like, Dag, like, how can you be focused on your directing, but also like be organized in how everything is running? And I'm just like, that just happened from by way of just being in that field, you know what I mean? And so it turned into, hey, can you help me with my project? Oh, hey, can you help me with my project? And so, I kind of started carving that path out for myself and just realizing that I like doing both. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
still love to direct, and, I got some things that I'm working on that I am directing, but uh, I kind of grew that same love for producing and realizing that I don't always have to be the director. I can also use my creativity and my production skills to help other directors bring their vision to life. And
Mm-hmm.
so, one of my partners that I've been working with for over a decade now, who's part of the project we're doing now, we kind of found that in each other. Like, if I'm directing something, he support me in ways that's super helpful for me. And one of the ways I support him is being his producer, because, you know, he likes to be creative, but he doesn't like to have to negotiate stuff, or sometimes
Mm-hmm.
being the person that's like, no, we can't do this, or so I think that's how I kind of fell into it. And and I like it. And sometimes it's really hard, um but at the end of the day, uh, I love the process of bringing something together and bringing it to life. So,
And then seeing it in the can.
and seeing it in the can, and seeing it in it,
Seeing it
it's
in the can.
it's nothing better. It's nothing better than seeing it in the can, and uh being able to have other people see it. Because I mean, that's the
Mhm,
thing. We
mhm,
we make it for ourselves, but we only make it for ourselves. We make it for other people to see. So even getting to that point where other people can see what you work so hard to do
mhm,
is
mhm.
you
And
know
it's almost like, well, somebody has to do it. Someone has to do it. It's like we
yeah.
want to. It's like we have this vision, we see this project, and it's like we have to put everything together. Okay, but someone has to do this part of it. Like
Hmm.
like we could get the actresses and actors and the writing and the directors, and we can get all of that. So someone has to do it. So another role to everything else to put everything together.
And it's unfortunate, just to add, a lot of people also know that sometimes the producer role is just a title, and and that can be just because maybe somebody who is a bigger person in the industry, and attaching them to your project helps your project out. It gets more eyes on it and make it more visible. um so a lot of times people throw it around, and I think that's why it gets so convoluted, and people really don't know, like, well, what does a producer actually do, and don't realize, like, producers hold a huge responsibility, and they a responsibility, a liability for the film. So, like, if
Hmm.
anybody gets hurt, if anybody wants to sue, if anybody wants to do all of these things, like, these are the things that you are
Oh
responsible
wow,
for,
yeah.
because um especially independent film, like, you're part of the you represent the business and legal part of the whole production.
Oh,
So if
okay.
anything happens, they looking at the producers. That's the first person they look.
Oh, really? I never knew that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So,
Sidebar: do producers make the big bucks out of all the different? When I think of producers, I'm like, wow, the producers, are they making the big bucks, Mr. Beer?
well, I will say there are some that really are. I think
Mhm.
it depends on what point you are in your career, what type of producer you are. I mean, because you got some people who are like, most producers are independent producers, and they kind of go from job to job. So you got some of your huge ones, like, you know, um, even though he directs too, but like you have like Steven Spielberg and Michael Bay, and like some of those people, and even like Jordan Peele, who kind of who's making their way through. But, like, it depends on what scale you are, because you got some who work a lot for the studios, and you got some who are independent, where they make a decent living off what they do. So there is this misconception that, like, just if you're a producer, that you're rich and making this money, which there are, and you got some who are making just a livable, who's able to live comfortably off what they do. So, it just depends.
Well, yeah, I understand that. It's almost like
Mhm.
saying, do actresses make money? Well, of course, you have the
Yeah,
big name
yeah.
actresses
So
making
it's the
the.
same thing. Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
the same. Especially if you're an independent producer, you definitely sacrifice a lot more than anybody that's on a project.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. But
yeah.
I guess my question is, because I do understand that with the different like actresses, there's
Mm.
levels to it. But do they get like, is there a percentage of money? Like, do they get a bigger percentage? Like, how does it work?
Most of the time you're dealing with, and I'm kind of just speaking on an independent level. It's your percentage is kind of matched with the percentage that the director gets.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sometimes a lot of times the director end up getting more, because if there's any need,
Oh.
if there's any need for the budget, most of the time it gets pulled from what the producers are getting paid.
Oh
Um,
no. Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But most of the time it's usually like a percentage of what the budget is.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and then and also depends on how many producers you have. So you could be on the 15,
Oh.
you could be on a $15 million film, and go, hey, we get 5 or 7% of this budget, and that sounds good. But if you got 10 producers on it,
That's under 1% per per producer in a sense.
so,
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so it really just varies. But that's how it usually go. Like, you get a percentage of the budget.
So I
Yeah.
want to go back, and I hope I didn't jump the gun here, but I do want to go back to particularly discussing Ricky. So,
Okay.
because Ricky is, we're talking about this particular moment. We know that you've done other things, but as far as Ricky, this is the one that was Sundance. Give me the correct term for it. Sundance approved,? Like, what's the?
So
Sorry.
so I short film. it was an official selection of the 2023 Sundance Film Festival, and Ricky, the feature film, the extended version of it, has been supported through the Sundance Lab. So we've been through the writers lab, the directors lab, and now myself have gone through
A
the producers
producer's
lab.
lab.
Yeah, so you know, it's just safe to say that the feature is a Sundance supported project.
But before be, got to where that part, before that,
Hmm.
when it first started, with when was it filmed, Ricky?
So interesting enough, we were supposed to, our original shoot date was 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
we were 2 weeks away from filming in March of 2020, and that's when
Oh.
everything, yeah, and that's when everything got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
The big C-19.
yeah, and you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
which was an unfortunate thing. But out of that unfortunate thing, like just a lot of blessings came from it because it gave us time to think more about the story and the script, and you know, we got a chance to kind of really dive into it a lot more, and we end up getting more funding for the short film, and we end up, you know, bringing on some incredible people on the team, and so it kind of grew bigger than what we originally was starting with.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, that was like huge for us because, you know, we were ready just to, you know, we're used to just putting our heads down and doing what we got to do to get the film made.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up shooting a year later. We shot in 2021.
Okay.
And then
2021.
yeah, and then we spent, you know, we shot towards the end of 2021. So we spent, you know, like the first half of 2022 really just like editing and getting it prepared to try to submit to film festivals. And so once again, Sundance has always been a dream of ours. So we said, hey, you know, we kind of came up with the festival plan, and
Mm-hmm.
Sundance was kind of, you know, our top of the list. And we got, by the time we got everything ready, you know, we submitted there into a couple of places and said, hey, you know, we're gonna we're gonna see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you know, we I got a call from the director and was like, we can't say that yet, but we got in, you know, and it was just and
Right. Right. Right.
it's been it's been just crazy from there. Like
Mm-hmm.
from the
Mm-hmm.
moment we got in to now, it's just been kind of
Mm-hmm.
like it's been
Mm-hmm.
nonstop.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You had to go somewhere. You and your team, you all went to Sundance Music Festival?
So we went to the festival, and so before even getting to the festival, we already knew we wanted to make a longer version of this.
Okay.
And so, you know, they submitted the script to the writers lab, right? So we was just like, hey, you know, we'll
Oh.
sub- we'll submit to both this just to see what happens. We, you know, we don't know, you know, but we're gonna take our chances and see, like, why not?
Mhm.
So when we found out that we got into the festival for our short film, we also found out for the feature version of it, the longer version of it, it got accepted into the writers lab.
Wow. Mhm.
So, you
Mhm.
know, my director, who's a writer, and we have a co-writer, they went out to the festival a week before everything actually happened because they that kicked off them going into their workshops to work on the script for the longer version.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so you know, January, fast forward to January, you know, they went out a week earlier, and then you know, me and a lot of other people from my team who did the short film came out there. I think it was about like almost 20 of us that came out that went out there, and it
I saw
was
some of the photos. Mhm.
yeah, it was, you know, we were thankful enough. One of our executive producers, you know, provided us with a publicist. So, you know, we were out there. Our cast got a chance to do like photo shoots, and you know, our director got to do like local news station interviews, and you know, it was just like we were getting all this coverage for a short film, and you know, you would thought we were out there with, you know, with the longer version of it. And it was, I mean, just the love that we received out there, like from every screening, and people walking up to me like, oh man, I really enjoyed your film. And I'm just like, you know who I am? Like, oh, okay.
Wow,
um
interesting.
yeah, so it was. I mean, Sundance really, they are really committed to like nurturing the artist and really making sure that you have a great experience with your film if you're out there, for the festival. And so it
Mhm.
was, man, that was an experience like unlike anything else.
So before others were able to see the short film, your team was already out there working in the writers lab for the extended version.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
crazy,
Wow.
crazy. I mean, because
Wow.
we just kept saying, let's just take a chance and see. We didn't know whether we'll get in, but we said, hey, they had a script and said, let's just see what happens.
Mhm. So you all were into the writers lab. Did you say the directors lab too?
Mm-hmm.
And then you went
And
yourself as went as part of the producers lab.
yeah,
And that
so
was
no, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
no, I just wanted you to talk a little bit about that. So, and how
Oh,
long ago? I think that was about what in the month of July 2023, just a few weeks
yeah,
ago.
just a few weeks ago. I mean, it. Listen, this is this whole the way this whole thing has been coming together is really just a huge blessing. Like even out of this, my director, he got signed to an agency off of the short film, and they've been like hitting the ground running. Like after we premiered that, they knew we were getting into Sundance. They were like, okay, let's start talking about making the longer version of this movie. And so we're like, just like, oh, okay, yeah, 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 and it just started becoming more and more of a reality. And so we said, hey, let's just apply for the other two labs. Like, he applied for the directors, I applied for the producers,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
we just know how nurturing Sundance is, when they kind of take you in with what you're doing. And, just not knowing, because for me, especially for me, I'm used to being rejected, like to you applying for stuff. So,
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm just like, I don't know if I really want to deal with a rejection while like we're having like this good moment. You know what I mean? Fast forward, he got into the director's lab, and I'm like, okay. And so then I went through
Okay.
my process with which I'm not, which is very happy about, which I knew like he'll get in. And so for me, I went through interviews and went through all of this stuff, and I'm like, we'll just see. And sure enough, I end up getting in, and it's just a huge blessing because it's rare
Mm.
uh that a project goes through all three of those labs. And so because usually it's either somebody's in it for the director, somebody's in it for the writer, somebody's in it for the producer, but not like the same project being
Right.
supported by all three of the same, all three of the different labs within the same time frame. It's just been huge for us. Like Sundance is, I mean, they took us in, and they really made us family, and they're really
Right.
committed into helping us get this film made, and also wanting us to be the best artists that we can be, and to go beyond doing this film.
Hmm.
So it's been it's been surreal for a good little while now, but I'm thankful.
Hold on, Pierre, because I don't know if do you hear noise in my background? You know, it's summertime. Children are home from out of school. They're back home from camp, and I'm hearing too much noise, and I do not want this to be heard on this interview. So let me just send them a quick text real quick and tell them to.
Tell them stop trying to steal my shine.
You, you know you on a roll here, so it's like it's no way, and I want to hear each and every word without distractions because I wanted to. You talked about rejection.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of people are still probably in that moment where they are in, getting rejected. Do you want to, and you don't have to talk about like all of the rejections, but just what do you mean? Like what was your story as far as rejection that you've encountered so far?
Well, I mean, since we talking about Sundance, I'll even start with Sundance. I mean, we've been rejected by Sundance a couple of times throughout my career.
But
Uh,
not with Ricky.
Not with Ricky, just with other
Okay.
projects, like
Oh, okay. Okay.
applying to the festival for a couple of different projects. I even tried submitting to the writers lab, for a different project one time. Just trying different things to try to like get on their radar and just being
Do they remember y'all the
rejected.
same group that rejected y'all before? Did they
I,
say that?
I don't think
Probably
so.
not. Oh, okay.
Because I think for the film festival it's like a whole different group of people, and
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I don't know how often they change or whatever. So uh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they do.
Oh, okay. They,
But yeah, I mean, and I've applied throughout my career just different like directing programs and producing programs, like to really, they have these programs to kind of foster and help you as an artist and connect you to the industry and stuff like that. And so, you, I was used to getting the, oh, thank you for applying, but unfortunately, thank you for applying, but unfortunately,
yeah,
so
yeah,
after a
yeah.
while, it's just like, man, I'm not applying to this stuff no more, or
Wow. Mm,
getting rejections from film festivals and hoping things that will go through when you're trying to do a project and they don't, thinking you may get some kind of funding or some kind of sponsorship or just something. So there were just plenty of nights where I'll be on the phone with my friend, who's directing. Like, there's just plenty of nights where we'll be like, why are we still doing this? Like, for
mm,
what?
yeah, yeah.
It's just like,
Wow.
is it worth going through, this headache? Is it worth, keep hearing no? But we also knew that we couldn't stop, even though there were times we wanted to, we just know that we couldn't. And
Mm-hmm.
so, we kind of live off the thing of keep going,
Mm-hmm.
because that's kind of been our story, like to where we are now. Like everything that we've been praying for and that we've been wanting and we've been trying to go after is happening all at once right now. Like, and so and we just always look back and say, oh man, we glad we didn't stop. We glad we didn't give up. Because you're gonna hear a lot of
Wow.
no's. You all, it was something that was always said, and sometimes it feels cliche, like, oh, you'll hear a bunch of no's before you hear yes. But it's
Mm-hmm.
so true. Like
Let's really
you'll
be in
definitely
it.
hear, yeah, you will hear no's. Like, I mean, today, even in this whole glorious process, I got an email, saying no to something, like, no, thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
but so it's like that will never go away.
Mm-hmm.
um
Mm-hmm.
but it's just really finding the strength to keep pushing through hearing all of those no's. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Message. Did you all hear that? I heard a message. Keep going. You're going to hear a bunch of no's, but that doesn't mean no for you. That means to keep going. Definitely a message and definitely so true. And I know many people can, not just in this field, in anything, you hear all these no's, but definitely keep going, keep pressing. And it
Mhm.
seems like this was destined for you all. You persevered through many things and you continue. And it seems like even going with Sundance for them to approve the writers lab, the producers lab, and the directors lab, y'all must be really doing a wonderful, great job. And
We're
they just
trying.
really believe in this project and what you're doing. I think that's amazing. And I didn't know that. I'm learning, all of this as we discuss these topics today about everything, which is I think is wonderful. You said they usually do one, not all three. So it must say a lot about the project. And let me just say, no, I did not. So I'm feeling a certain kind of way. I have not seen Ricky yet.
You just want to call me out right here, right now.
I have not seen Ricky
You'll get
yet.
it. You'll get it today. So just pretend like you saw it and just give it compliments, and then
So you mean it's like I had to do some editing? No, I'm going
yeah,
to do a before and after. This is the before I saw Ricky, and then I'll come back later and do my own discussion of after I saw
yeah.
Ricky.
It wasn't on purpose though. It really wasn't on purpose. I mean, from even being at work that this just has been a lot of work.
Oh yeah,
it's been a
definitely,
lot. It's
definitely.
been a lot going on. So,
Oh no,
um,
I didn't mean it that way. As in, I did,
so it wasn't on purpose. You trying to
yeah,
see?
no,
Look,
no, 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 no. I just wanted to say that, but I didn't mean it wasn't shady or.
You
It
you trying to
wasn't.
get me? You trying to get me to show out on this podcast right now? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Darn. Oh, I wanted to see y'all. I wanted y'all to see him in action. Okay, I wanted y'all, but
You
he
already
said not to.
you see your eyebrows? I can see them.
You can see him now. So
Yeah.
it was like the light is like eyebrows went away. But okay.
You
Day.
already better be lucky enough. I'm doing this without a haircut, so don't push it.
Well, listen, you're doing it without a haircut. I'm doing it without any eyebrows and a bunch of this extra light back here.
No,
So look, just one more thing. What else would you do if it wasn't directing in this same industry or outside? Like, what
So
other
I
role would you
think
do? Hmm.
so. I mean, funny enough, I originally wanted to be an actor. Um, that's what I started wanting to do.
I can see
Uh,
that.
when I was younger, and just big shout out to my family because my family has been, supportive of my creativity and just wanting to be in this world since I was a kid.
Hmm.
I did like little small plays and I would even like write and do my own plays and like have my cousins all be in it and my family would pay like $1 as an entry fee and we'll perform at my grandparents' house and so I started off wanting to be that until I realized like I kind of like creating the world that these characters are living in. And so my grandfather always was like up on the latest technology. So he always had like, all whatever new camera it was at the time and stuff like that. And so he used to let me use the camera and we used to film like little movies every weekend. Like I'll write scripts and, we'll rehearse and then we'll just like shoot something on the weekend and then
Okay.
we'll have like little screenings and stuff like that. And so, I think if I wasn't doing this, I probably either would be acting or I would be working in I'll probably be like a psychologist or psychiatrist. So
Sorry, I'm listening. I heard you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, did you
yeah.
say the last part you said was psychology?
Yeah, I probably would have been a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Yeah, yeah. um and I know
Oh
you
my
and knowing me, you
gosh.
probably be like, what? So my I was actually going to double major when I was at Howard in film and psychology because I grew this love for psychology in high school because just I noticed just growing up I always was interested in like why people did the things they did or the process of how we respond to things and finding out it was psychology that psychology kind of put a name to the things I always was interested in growing up.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so, and so for me, I was like, I kind of want to incorporate this in my creativity because I've always been fascinated about just mental disorders and the
Mm.
brain of how we, the process of how we, the things that we do to, protect ourselves, our mental responses to things, just all of that stuff. And so when I was going to go to undergrad, I was going to double major, but I was like, you know what, this is too much. So I actually made psychology my minor
Okay.
because I wanted to learn more about just the subject matter and just how that world kind of works because I wanted to incorporate it into my stuff. I think that if I wasn't kind of in this space, I would be in that world because it's something about because I think especially just like with mental health being a huge thing, in our community and just in
Definitely.
general, a lot of people can sometimes have a hard time accepting when there is something wrong or something may be a
Went to
little
different.
different or has the stigma that
Mhm.
something is wrong with them and it's really kind of like combating that and realizing like just because somebody's is experiencing this doesn't mean that they're disabled to be able to do things or can't function in society or they may be different from us
Wow.
so I try to tackle that in my projects as well. So, and
Mhm.
that's one of the things that Ricky touches on is mental health, and so I try to incorporate that in what I do. So if this doesn't work out, I'll be Dr. Pierre Coleman.
Psychologist Pierre
So,
Coleman. I get it. I
right.
get it. now I see why we were able to connect the way that we did. So let me just say a little, and this, I'm not saying it to others. 'Cause some people already know. You probably just don't know Pierre. But I also went to school for communications. I don't know if I did. I share this with you already. So anyway, I went to school for
Yeah, yeah.
communications. Yeah, and I ended up the at Morgan Howard. Morgan State, it was communications, but when I went to the other school that I graduated from, it was called media arts, which is basically the same thing. The same thing, the classes, the type of classes I was going to take at Morgan, I was taking at the other school too. I also wanted to be an actress when I was
Now that
younger.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
I
that.
know you didn't know that, and
That's
not
why. That's why you
only
be acting out all the time. But go ahead.
I thought you said you wasn't going to get me.
I
See,
had to.
you
I had
can't
to
even,
slide one in.
can't even help yourself. Look at you. So I wanted to be an actress, and I've actually done some acting, but when I was in high school and a little bit beyond high school. It's like at the North Public Libraries and small arenas, small what do you call those outside things where you can go and perform? It's so funny because I was watching Atlanta Housewives and Nene Elite. She played the mother in Cinderella. So I also played the mother in Cinderella, and that was one of my huge one
Mm.
home parts that I ever did. And so even when I saw her doing that, I felt like, oh, like I'm interested in doing that again. So acting was definitely a love. But like you said, but almost similar to you, outside of acting, there's so many other things to do. And so I do like to write, I do like to direct. And then the last thing, hmm?
No, I said that you do.
The last thing is that I have my master's in psychology. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Oh, you did know that already. Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
did
yeah,
know
yeah.
that.
So I also had an interest in psychology. So this is probably why we're able to connect the way we do. We have so much in common. And I think that's a wonderful, great thing. I'm just really excited. I think I haven't known you all this process, but I've known you for some of the last few things that happened and you'll tell me about it. And I'm genuinely excited for you and your team. I think what you all are doing is amazing. I can't wait to see the film myself. I can't wait till the final project is out. And I'm just looking forward to the future to see what else comes and what happens with it. Is there anything else you want to say or add today?
If you're in this business, no matter where you are, it's always. I mean, it's a changing industry. Can be very harsh. Can be very tough. One thing that was told to me from my pastor that I'll never forget is, that you're passionate about something when no matter what happens, it doesn't put out the flame that
Mm-hmm.
burns in you. And so, if you need a reminder, if you need to keep going, sometimes you have to stop to make sure that the flame is still burning. And if the flame is still burning, that means you got to keep going. And this is coming from somebody where I never would have thought even a year ago, I would have never thought that I would even be talking about any of this at
Oh,
all.
just a year ago. Can you imagine? A year
Yeah,
is such a short period of time.
yeah. So just a year ago, I would have never thought this. I think that if you no matter where you are, just keep going. I mean, and it sounds cliche, but it's so true. Like I can say that I am just a testament of the saying. Like you have to, because sometimes you're right there. You're right there. And sometimes you don't know how close you are. Sometimes, in our mind, if it doesn't work out within a certain time frame, that means, we think that is not supposed to happen, but it's just not true. Sometimes you have to be in a certain place in your life to be ready to receive what you're asking for. Sometimes you have to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. And even if you are doing what you're supposed to do, sometimes it's just not the time for you, you know. And so I think, my faith really played a huge part into that, and my support system played a huge part into that. Just you got to keep going. You got to
Yeah.
keep going because
Yeah.
you just your life can change in an instant, and you wouldn't even
Mm,
expect it. And so that's what I say. Just and find and make sure you got good people around you.
yes.
Like try to
Hmm.
build a good community around you, whether they're in the industry or not. Sometimes it's good to have people in the industry because sometimes people who aren't in it may not understand sometimes.
Understand certain things. Yeah.
um but sometimes they can still just support you even if you just vent and they don't know what you even talking about. Those important things, and finding what your center is, and whether that's faith or whatever else you choose to do. I mean, and for me that's just what it is. But yeah, yeah, like keep going, keep going.
I love that. I really do. And that's a message for me. That is a message for me too. So it is well received. I thank you, thank you, thank you for your time, for sharing this information, your story. And I wanted to see, what do you have across your shirt there? I thought I saw something.
Oh, now this I would don't mind showing on camera is Sundance.
Okay. So they gave you that when you were at the producer's
But
lab.
well, they gave us a different one, but I saw this one because they have like a shop or whatever, and I was just like,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
I'm gonna get this one because
Mm,
yeah, but I do have one that they gave me too that has like producers lab on it. I'm like,
if stunting was a
I flex on a I flex on them in a little bit. Right now, I'm just gonna be, because I listen, I done got me a hoodie, some shirts. I said I'm gonna have people go, okay, we get it. You're part of Sundance, we get it.
if flexing was a face, it'll be right there.
I, I mean, if I don't have it, oh, I don't even have it in front of me, but I got all kind of water bottles and all kind of stuff. So
Oh,
don't
I'm
worry, in
sure.
in a little bit you're gonna get sick of me. You're gonna see me,
I'm sure.
giving
I'm
out my
sure.
whole
Maybe if I see, if I'm around Mr. Coleman, maybe I can steal a Sundance pen or something like that. I'll have to see what
Maybe.
I see laying around somewhere in the car or something like that, or his little notebook maybe. Because I would love to have something from Sundance. You might have to share a little something with that. Like, I get the point. I get the picture. Yeah, but
Right.
no, that's a huge flex. You is well deserved. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you for your time. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
sharing. Can't wait to see what's headed in the future. Congratulations to you and your team. And that's it for now.
All right, everybody. All right, all right. Thank y'all for listening and watching.
Thank you. Thank you for listening
All
and
right.
watching. You heard it first.